Ron. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, sound people, song people. Thank you for the opportunity to serve this morning. All right, so I might need glasses because my computer fritzed when I was trying to print all this, so I may need the glasses. So that song incorporates Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. And that's a really familiar Bible quote, and I think that most of us were able to sing along with that song. So Reverend Therese gave me a book to read by Robert Brumett, and it's called Finding Yourself in Transition. And it was interesting. I thought, the first couple of chapters I thought, it's a little dry for me, but I'd rather have a Nora Roberts to read. But I stuck with it, and so I'm going to concentrate on chapter 2 this week, and I don't know whether the book's in the bookshop, but let's see how we go. And the book is called The Process of Transition. So Brunette states that a process is a change occurring, and which way do you like me to say it? Process. I bet you want me to say process. Is a change occurring over a period of time. A process has certain elements that must occur in the right order and at the right time. And to work with a process, we must trust that the divine order that goes with it. To force our personal will on a natural process is often damaging, as you know. When we try to take control, God says, we're not doing that. Reverend Rose said, I'll speak this week. God went, no, give somebody else a chance. If you'd have seen me scrambling last night, this may look ordered, but it's not. In today's society, we are more concerned with the clock and our to-do list, and I have a big to-do list. And if we do take the time to smell the roses, it better be on my calendar. We feel we have to fill every minute. The 40-hour week has become 60. The education system is one that has us passing tests, but doesn't necessarily teach us anything. And I really don't know how you families do it. I don't have kids, I don't have grandkids, I don't have any of those things. People have 2 jobs. They have school, they have children, and the activities. I don't know, you go from school to go and do the football thing, and then the baseball thing, and then the swimming thing, and then it's just too much. So we're exhausted with the rush of life and the continual stimulus of a virtual world and Facebook. Facebook is a blessing and a curse. Facebook has found me cousins I forgot I had. Might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. But it's also that continual news feed of, you've got to watch this and you'll cry forever. Watch this and you'll be so delighted. And we buy into it. Get on Facebook or not. We connect on a very superfluous level, and we're forgetting to remember who we truly are until we come to church on Sundays, and Reverend Rose usually reminds us very well. So there is a difference between process and progress. One is where we make a change and turn one form into another, like milk to cheese, whereas to progress is to move to a higher stage or to a goal, and we do this in every day in one form or another. We move, we change, we modulate. Our bodies are in a continual state of flux. We go from hunger to satisfaction, and I go back to hunger all the time. Food is my drug of choice. We go from sleep to wakefulness, from dreams to reality. We whisk through the phases of our lives. We go from the womb to the baby, to the toddler, to the child, to the teenager, to the adult, to, who knows, the final frontier. So I can remember certain times when the shift was almost palpable. For some reason, I clearly remember the day that I was able to open a clothespin. That's a lot for a little girl, and I used to do it with my mouth because I didn't have the strength in my fingers, so I'd help my mom put the washing on the clothesline. Remember those days, anybody? Like a little pecking bird. And I remember the days when boys were suddenly interesting and not pesky. And I can remember the day I took my mother's hand and became her parent. I remember the decisions that I made that were life-changing and once made altered my life path, and the tapestry was woven into a different picture. Our thoughts cross over at an alarming speed from one activity to another. We live in Florida, so we get that, see that transition a lot. It'll be brilliant sunshine, and then it'll be raining. And sometimes it will be doing both at the same time. One side of the traffic lights, it'll be sunny. On the other side of the traffic lights, torrential rain. That blew me away the first time I saw that. I was like, doo-doo-doo-doo. The seasons. We don't see so much of the seasons in Florida, but a few weeks ago, there was nothing. The leaves didn't have trees. Nor did the trees have leaves. And now my crepe myrtles are coming into bloom, and it's just fabulous. Circles, cycles, transitions, and most of it happens without our help. Really. There are immutable laws in place. And listen, the potential of a forest lies in the dreams of an acorn. The potential of a forest lies in the dreams of an acorn. But how silly. I didn't mean it. There's the sun, there's the rain. How silly would it be to plant the acorn and then dig it up every day? Hey, acorn, you're useless. You're not doing your thing. You're supposed to be an oak tree. Why won't you grow? Don't say that. Or you can let it sprout. I've got to put my glasses on for this because I handwrote it. Or we can let it sprout and then look at it and yell, you call yourself an oak tree? You're useless. You'll never be anything. You are not good enough to be an oak. We have to trust that that which created us will weave magic, and all that acornness will transition into an oak tree, and we'll witness the circle of life continuing. A quote by Cynthia Ocelli says, "For a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must be completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction." Our own Unity Church is an entity that continuously weaves and evolves into something that's going to be different and exciting. We've become a pastoral church. That's pretty good. That is growth. We're not the acorn anymore. We're sprouting into that oak tree-ness. We're steady. It's allowing us to make beneficial change. It's growing and expanding to more ideas and plans. We're going to make little acorns. Just these past few months, we've witnessed the change as the snowbirds go back. They migrate back to the north. The schools are broken for summer. New people are coming in and out, and we hope they stay and enjoy what we're doing. We move through our required 40 years, meaning as long as it takes for us to make a transition into a truer being, a truer expression. Lots of seeds are being planted, literally. Whoever's in charge of gardens is making a big difference. But weeds still have to be pulled. Trees and bushes have to be pruned back to let in more light and air. And some plants might have to be dug up. We're losing a couple of trees. But that's going to give us a chance to do something else in that space. We're evolving into greater expression. And we had the septic fixed. We are dealing with our, listen to me, we are dealing with our shift. S-H-I-F-T. I don't want you reporting bad stuff about me. And we have fish. Do we still have fish? Yeah, okay, cool. As a gardener myself, I've seen my own little piece of heaven transform from 2 pine trees and a bunch of grass to a lush landscape. And it's full of flowers, it's full of butterflies and hummingbirds and everything that comes to visit in my garden. So for me to be out on my screen porch first thing in the morning, it's busy. There's squirrels and just all kinds of stuff going on. It's a safe haven for them. So I witness every day how much my garden has matured and changed over the years, still retaining its magic and its beauty and its mystery. And it's a gift unto itself, as we all are. It's God in action. To everything, there is a purpose under heaven. And it's all in divine order. It's a new adventure. And that's exciting. And now where am I going? Oh, well, I'm going back here. So, I suppose that the caterpillar turning into a butterfly is the example that we're all familiar with. And I have to say, the caterpillar's organized. And some days I want to be a caterpillar because it's orderly. You get stuff done. Chomp, 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 chomp. Move on. Chomp, 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 chomp. Move on. It's routine. And some days I want to be in the safety of that cocoon to get away from it all. But in that cocoon, stuff happens. Big stuff. We get broken down into goo. That's a great visual, isn't it? It's surrender. And that goo rearranges itself and we morph into a breathtaking beauty. Richard Bach says, what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls the butterfly. We have just over 8,760 hours in a year. I counted them. If we live one more year, 365 days, what will have changed in our lives? What can you do today with what you have right now to create a life that you love? So that on June the 7th, 2016, you can look back and say, wow, I love my life. Can we change our attitude? Can we shift and transition into gratitude in every moment? It's a practice, really. There are times in life when you know that you're at a crossroads, and making a decision for what you really want at that moment either takes you forward, or if you don't make the decision, it converts you to the patterns that you've lived from before. Remember, you don't get a choice about creating your life. You only get a choice about whether you're going to create by design or by default. So, are you at a critical crossroads in your life right now? You want to make some changes? Go into prayer. Go into that silence. Go into that space and say, I am open. Have you listened to yourself enough to know that you really do have a dream? Something that you can be passionate about. There's a realization that something in you is far greater than you've known. In fact, it won't leave you alone. You keep getting that little tap on the shoulder. We're wired. So if you're not moving into the greater idea of who you are, start finding ourselves less alive, less happy, less fulfilled, and a whole world constricts. But when we're saying yes to the dreams that are in our hearts, we feel greater amplification. We feel more alive. We're more energized. And things begin to get easier because we're open. I am open and I'm accepting. So God, what do I do next? Where do I go from here? Lead me. I am willing. Willing to be willing to be willing. To co-inspire with the universe to realize my best self. I am willing to transition from being stuck and eating worms, which is really not good, to morphing into creative beingness. Maybe I'll sing the worm song one week. No, maybe not. I am willing to open my mind. I can invite ideas. What could I do if I believed it was really going to work out? What could I do today? What can I do today? It's going to make a difference. And you begin to see things moving to you and through you, according to your willingness, and it really will make you feel more alive. I mean, who doesn't want to be more alive? The alternative is not being alive. I don't know about you, but I've always found the Old Testament to be a little incomprehensible and scary, and dare I say, boring. Don't smite me. Well, as I delve deeper into this work that I have chosen, to do, I'm finding the metaphysical interpretations are bringing it to life, and I'm beginning to understand it much better. If you continue with that book, there's some great stuff about Moses and how, the metaphysical interpretation of Moses' journey. Like, wow, if I'd have known this in school, I might have listened a bit more. Because it was fun. Well, not fun, but it was interesting to read, and thought, wow, that begins to make sense. But I'm going to pop back to the creation for a minute and give you my version of Genesis. Okay, so are you sitting comfortably? And I'll begin. So this is Genesis, my way. Be patient. In the deep blackness of nothing, in the vast abyss of nowhere, where there was no breath or light, a change was perceived, an awakening, an imperceptible shift. The merest murmur where no sound had ever been, a tiny whisper in the silent silence. The unknown became known, nowhere became now here, and it began. A single thought that begat an idea, the idea that begat a dream, and the dream begat a reality. God emerged to become himself and was pleased. And that vibration became the universe, and the universe climaxed into galaxies and stars and planets, explosions of rapture and delight. And God sighed and was pleased. And that pleasure radiated into tears, tears of pure delight. And as he wiped his tears, the rivers and seas ran in gay abandon. And the land rose up to greet the sun, the exquisite agony of labor, the joy of birth, and God was pleased. He embraced his dream and sighed again, and his sigh cast color all around, as trees and plants and bushes emerged from the brown earth, sprinkling the land with flowering jewels. Another thought and movement was born, as tiny creatures began to scurry, evolving into fin and fur and feather, and the vision was nearly complete. But something was missing, an important link in the great scheme. So love happened, and man was created, and he was holding the dream, and the breath was breathed, and we were joined, and God laughed. That's Genesis. I think I wrote that back in 2009, and I've used it a lot, and I think that was definitely a channeled piece, because I think it's really good. Okay, so I am going to end with a true story. We know life that can change in a matter of moments, and we can be catapulted into a situation that we're just not prepared for, and it can certainly be a wake-up call for immediate transition. So this true story is one that inspires me daily, and when I usually tell it, it's much longer. Anyway, I have a thing about people called Joe, apparently, because the last time I was here, I spoke about Joe, and now I'm going to speak about another Joe. So if you're called Joe, watch out. There was a man in his middle 50s who was very productive in his high-pressure life. He was overweight. He didn't exercise. He worked long hours. He commuted an hour to and from work. He had diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. One day he awoke feeling confused with unclear speech. When he got to hospital, they thought he was in diabetic shock, but he'd had a stroke, and then he had another one. The second one affected the right side of his body, and he could no longer walk. The prognosis was not great. He would probably be spending the rest of his life in a nursing home. How could this goal-oriented, well-educated man be reduced into being a needy and probably angry invalid? Well, this man had a strong faith in God and prayer. Something deep inside him stirred, and he said, no. I will prove you wrong. When I set my mind to a goal, the only person to stop me from getting it is me. I can't do his southern accent, but you get the gist. I'm going to read that again in southern. I will prove you wrong. When I set my mind to a goal, the only person to stop... Oh, never mind. So his decision led to intense rehab, and it was luckily in a state-of-the-art treatment center. He had loving support from his family and a caring staff and a very gritty determination. There was great improvement within 6 weeks. And so after his discharge, he moved house to be nearer his family, bought himself a handicapped accessible home, and started therapy for his speech, plus physical and occupational therapy. Eventually, he progressed into learning to drive again in a specially adapted car. But he wanted more. The man realized that life would never be quite the same as it was, and it was up to him to create a new dream, creating from what he had in that moment. He wondered if massage therapy would help. So he found himself a really good therapist. A really good therapist. And he made tremendous progress with her. She, in turn, suggested that personal training could boost the recovery even further. So we combined the two. A goal he set for himself was to attend his school reunion and to carry a tray of food with a drink, walking without his cane, and to set the tray down without spilling it. He was able to do that. He has lost weight. He is off his meds. He works out nearly every day. He looks for progress in everything he does, and he believes in miracles. He has educated himself about stroke and recovery. He's a funny guy. He's driven, and he inspires me to do better. Can you put the pictures up there? Can you put the fat one up first? So this was Joe. This was Joe before the stroke. And then can you put the other one up, Danny, please? And that's him now. Now, I was hoping he was going to be here this morning, but it was too short a notice, so he couldn't be. But that's my guy. He's amazing. So that is a true story. I know, because I was that soldier. No, I wasn't that soldier. All right. So thank you for having patience with me this morning. May your journey be fun and blessed, and thank you so much.